Hello, and welcome to the Performer's Guide, Pricing Yourself Like a Pro. My name is Kristen Railing, and today we will be discussing your perceived value. Once you know your day rates and the minimum costs that are required for you to perform at your event, it's really easy to fall back on those numbers when trying to explain our rates to our clients. And this is when clients will often try to negotiate to lower the rate for less services, right? And so instead of this type of mindset with our client, we really want to shift to explaining our services or expanding the services if they need more. We could partner with other professionals or be upfront. Because if we cut costs, right up at the beginning, when we negotiate with our clients, then they're just going to sort of have this mindset of haggling and negotiation all the way down. And so if you have a client that has seen your rate and is trying to cut costs, before we go into discounts, we really want to be able to explain our true value to the client. And so what we really want to do is we want to shift the conversation from fees to value, okay? And fees are based on specifics, numbers, quantifiable, but value is non-quantifiable in a numerical way. You can't really chip away at the value as much as you can chip away at a fee. And so we're going to shift our mindsets from a fee-based service to a value-based service. So another time when we're going to be faced with a challenge of expressing our value is when we have repeat clients that will be expecting the same rate every year. And so if you have a long-term client, at some point, you'll start to go into the red if you continue to give them the same rates because of inflation, your costs change, and there's lots of different factors that the client might not be aware of. And so you're going to want to specify right in the first contract that whatever price you tell them is only for that event, and that each year your value raises, the price raises, inflation increases, your expenses increase, and never should a client expect one event to reflect the exact same value of another event. And so if you're with a client that's trying to haggle with you on raising your prices, you're just going to want to remind them of all of the services that you've already provided, how much value you've already given, and let them know that you're not just raising the prices, but you'll be adding more value to these rates. And then we're going to explain. We're going to have a rate justification sheet that's going to show exactly how our prices break down. I like to give them notice the year before. This price is only for this year. The price will increase next year unless they've paid a deposit for all of the events that they would like this discount for. And so if they see a price that they like and they're expecting that in the future, they can hold on to that price by paying a 50% deposit for each event that they would like that rate for. And if they can't do that, then the price is negotiable in your favor. So what we want to do is we want to shift the conversation from fees to perceived value. And in the next video, we're going to be talking about value-based pricing, which is different. And I just want to set that up that we don't want to get confused about that. Perceived value is the way that the client perceives your business. And so your true value to them is their benefit, what they're going to get from the event, minus their costs, both financial and emotional. And so I think that a lot of times we can leverage how much emotional help we provide for event producers when they're hiring high value entertainment. They might get the same amount of benefit, maybe if they're going to hire a lower end, but if you have the exact same costumes, the exact same performance, where you can add value right off the top is excellent customer service and more emotional support to your client. And that's already going to offset the financial cost of your services. So for the client, their benefits can be both personal, product-based, service, or the image, okay? And so they might just really like you as a person and nothing else really matters. And they're just like, oh, I know I want to hire you next year. And if that's the case, then you have true value that you can really leverage because there's literally no other you in the world. And so when you have a personal connection with your clients, you're more likely to get your top rate, you're more likely to get taken care of, you're more likely to get flown out to your gig. And really, we really want to leverage just our personal benefit. It's me. Then we have the products and services. If you have high quality products and services, this is an additional benefit for your client than mediocre products or services that maybe your competitor might have. And then we have the overall brand image. You know, you could have two companies that have the exact same stilt walker costume, same price, everything's the same across the board. But if you've got a well-branded image that's well-known and reliable, that adds value to your products because the customer has less emotional needs. They just know that they're going to be well taken care of. They've got a consistent brand with a really good product and service that they like to be around. And if you can provide that for your client, then you really want to leverage that in your explanation of your offerings. A lot of times we just focus on this is the product and this is the service. So then we have the cost. And again, we have monetary costs, time, energetic, and psychic or emotional costs, okay? And so a lot of times clients will look at your high rate and go, oh, well, why would I hire this instead of this half price performer? It's like, okay, well, where you save in money, you're going to lose in time of having to explain more things to this person, more energy, more emotional output for newer performers. When you're hiring a high-end, well-branded business versus newer performer who doesn't have those things, it just takes more time and energy to interact with them. And so that's usually where I start with that. You're hiring a high-end service. I've got everything templated out. I've got everything ready. I've done this 100 times. I put their mind at ease immediately. And that's really what an event producer wants. They want to be held during the event and know that the people that they're hiring are working with them and not, for them in a way where you have to really micromanage them. So now we're going to switch the mindset from fees to value, okay? And so how we think about value-based pricing is we set the price based on just what we think that the customer thinks, And so we basically just want to try to match our perceived value to their perceived value, because you might perceive your value in one way, but the client sees you with stars in their eyes. They see you in a different light. And it's really easy for us to have imposter syndrome or feel uncomfortable with adding value to our rates. But if we don't, then sometimes we do a disservice to the client who's literally ready to pay us more and wants a service at that caliber so that they can feel that they're really providing value for their clients. And I think a lot of times we just miss out on potential clients because we already lower ourselves too much. Just not even realizing the client would literally be happier actually paying more money because they feel like money equals value. And so this works both ways. You can raise your price based on the value you think your customer sees, or you can lower the price based on if you have newer services, maybe your interaction with the client isn't feeling quite as on point, then their perceived value might actually be lower than what it actually is. But when we look at the supply and demand line, which we'll go over more later, we see that that's still okay and that we can lower our prices or raise our prices based on a mirror reflection of what we think the client thinks of us. So it really just matters how much the client thinks your product is worth. And you can raise the value by adding good branding, really tightening up the package, your personal presentation, the way that you interact with your clients, your customer service. All of these things can increase your price. And when you're more customer focused on their needs, as opposed to focused on the business's financial minimums, the client can tell that you care more about the value that you're providing than the bottom line. And so that's really where we want the conversation to be, is like, how can I provide as much value for the rate that I need to operate this business? So some benefits of value-based pricing are you can price as high as you want. You can price way higher than your competition. You can even price higher than what you think your customers would be willing to pay, because sometimes they just will. And then if they pay more, that means you get more and you're actually able to pay yourself. I think a lot of times when we look at our operating costs, we're just operating and then we're not even making any money off the top. And so when we start to do value-based pricing, this is where we actually start to make money and we start to go above our minimums. And if you've done your day rates, you know how much you need for your operating costs. If you've done all your travel expenses for the gig, you know what all your costs are. That's just to be breaking even. And so with value-based pricing, we're actually starting to earn a profit, okay? And when we focus on value-based pricing as opposed to time-based pricing, it forces us to become a better business because, you know, I can do a really low quality job at an hourly rate, or I can provide the best value that I possibly can, no matter how much I'm charging. And so that's really what we want to focus on, is giving the same amount of value and more value than our other competitors are for the same rate. So now you have figured out, you know, your value. You know that you want a certain rate and your client perceives you to be valuable to a certain amount of value. And so what we want to do is leverage their perception of value to the money that you need to make in order to operate as a business. And so what's usually happening is you're propositioning your client for money and you're giving them a service or a product. And so instead what we want to do is we want to proposition them for money in exchange for value, which isn't based on time. So if you've taken Think Like a Business, we go really deeply into the value proposition. But essentially, the value proposition is the promise of value that you're going to give to your client. And this is essentially the heart of your business and one of the most important things that you should know about your business is what is your value proposition. Once you have this really tightly formulated, you can go into any business meeting and express your value in a way that doesn't even give room for the client to diminish your rate. They're just happy to pay it. And so you can give a value proposition based on the business itself, your customer relationships, or the products and services. And again, people often just focus on one, usually products or services. But if you can really just get them to see value in your organization and your brand as a whole, in the way that you manage your customers and the products and services, then when you have people who have matching products and services, they're not even in competition with you still. You're still above your competition. I think a lot of people don't know their value proposition. And when I ask them what makes their business different or what is the true value that you're providing, a lot of times people sort of hit a wall and not able to express this. And so I just really want to hit it home that this is really important for you to know, because it really improves your customers' understanding of your business, and a confused mind never buys. So if you're not sure of the value that you're providing, your client isn't either, and then they're not going to give you money. The value proposition increases engagement both on your social media and with your clients. If they see true value, they're going to really want to engage with you, and you're not going to have to go target marketing people. You're just going to have people coming into your world naturally because you're just providing valuable content at a reasonable price. You know, it helps your client actually understand what your products and services are. And it also helps them see how they benefit. Because I think that that's where the miss is. You have the products and services, you're like, I'm really valuable, but then it doesn't really show how the products are specifically valuable to the client. And this is where we might miss our target market. We really want to make sure the correct products and services are going to the correct market so that they see the true value of it. And if you're in a market that doesn't see the value, but you know it's valuable, maybe you just need to shift your targeted marketing to a more ideal customer. And lastly, it's just about showing them that you're the best option available. And sometimes that includes letting them leave and hiring another performer, or going and shopping around a bit. And then when they come back, then you have even more leverage to keep your rates or even increase them. And so if a client doesn't see your true value right away, they're often going to go hire someone else of lower quality, make all the mistakes, and then when they come back, they're going to say, wow, you're really valuable. And this is really what we want. I have clients doing this to me all the time. So here's a little mind map of what your value proposition should look like. And so you have your offering, it's product or service, and then you have what the customer needs. But if your offerings don't match the needs in the marketplace, like if they're trying to shop and they're looking and the value isn't expressed properly, a customer who actually needs your services might miss them because they just didn't understand how valuable it was. And so the closer you can get to your offering meeting their needs in a just very simplistic way for them to understand, the closer you're going to get to the value proposition, the more money you're going to make, and the easier it'll be to get your rate and raise your rates. So the value proposition should describe how your product or service either solves a problem or improves it in some way, what benefits they can expect to get, and why would your clients buy from you over your competitors? What is your competitive edge? So now you're going to want to create what's called a value proposition canvas. This is something that is in a business model. If you've taken Think Like a Business, we've gone over the value proposition canvas in great detail. But if you haven't, then we just want to know that what is the value and how do we explain it to them? And oftentimes it can be kind of confusing. It's like, oh, how do I explain it? And so this chart breaks down the way that we would explain value to our clients. And so first we want to start on the customer side. It's on the right. They have wants. They're going to want something from you. They're going to need something, or they're afraid of something that you can like nip in the butt. Okay. And so who is your target market? You might have more than one. You're going to pick one. What are their wants? What are their needs? And what are their fears? And then on your product side, you've got the benefits, features, and the experience. Okay. And so when you're creating a product, you are going to be hitting the client's wants, needs, or fears, or some combination of them. And then the product itself is going to have features, benefits, or it's going to create an experience for the customer. And so one common question I get asked is, what's the difference between features and benefits? And the easiest way I can describe that is the features are the extras from the product. They're actually like connected to the product, like this product features this. But then the benefit is how does that feature benefit the person? Because I think oftentimes you can add on all these features, but they're not even really hitting a need, you know? And so the feature comes from the product, and the benefit is the customer's reaction to the feature. Did it actually benefit them? And how? Is it through their wants, needs, or fears? And then we have the experience. And this is really where the money is. You know, if you can create this full experience from the second your client starts to the second your client ends in their interactions with you, and when you're actually at the event, if it's a full experience, then you know your value proposition goes way up, your competitive edge goes way up, because nobody can replicate the same experience that you're doing. And so, you know, in my opinion, the benefits and features are very important, but it's really all about the experience that we're creating for our clients. What is that feeling we want for them? And how is it different from our competitors? And then we see at the bottom there, we've got the substitutes. And these are our competitors, both indirect and direct. And so I think it's easy for us to think, oh no, I'm the only one who could possibly offer this. I mean, that's what I thought when I started the Performer's Guide, right? I'm the only person, there's no substitutes. And then all of a sudden, different people started coming out of the woodwork of, oh no, I have a business coaching program. I have this, I have that. And so now I'm very aware of what all my substitutes are that are available, what's their experience, what's the benefit and features of their program. And then now I know how to negotiate. You know, how does my program differ from the substitutes in the experience? And so that's what you want to think of for your client. So to figure out your value proposition, it's important to answer these questions. What is the product or service specifically? And who is it for? What problem does it actually solve? What need does it solve? What pain does it solve? What does the customer gain from your service? What are the benefits? What are the features? And what are the available substitutes to your client for your products and services? If you can get really solid on these questions and fully answer them and then input them into your value proposition canvas, you're going to have a super solid idea of the value of your business and how to express it to your client, so that we can get away from fee-based discussions and just really stick with value-based discussions with our pricing. Once again, my name is Kristen Railing. This is the Performer's Guide, Pricing Yourself Like a Pro. Thank you so much for watching.